Why do toddlers stare at Cocomelon like they're possessed?
Because they are. It's not a cartoon. It's engineered addiction.
What? It's just songs and colors.
No, it's overstimulation warfare. 2.5 cuts per second, maxed out brightness, looping melodies that hijack dopamine.
Wait, that's like TikTok for babies?
Worse, TikTok corrupts the teen. Cocomelon captures the infant.
But it calms them down.
It shuts them up. There's a difference. They're not calm. They're hypnotized.
So it's like digital sugar?
Exactly. And when it stops, they scream. That's withdrawal.
You're saying babies go into withdrawal?
Some toddlers cry, shake, or panic when it's turned off. That's not entertainment. That's programming.
So who made this? Some tech nerd?
It's owned by Moonbug Entertainment, bought for $3 billion, controlled by ex-Disney executives, and backed by BlackRock.
Disney? BlackRock? Why would they care about baby songs?
Because it's the perfect entry point. You don't build obedient adults, you manufacture programmable toddlers.
This goes deeper than I thought.
Moonbug's linked to Tencent, Netflix, ByteDance, even McDonald's.
Wait, McDonald's?
Same playbook, same audience, same result. Obedient consumers with stunted attention.
From fries to lullabies, they're raising us like products.
Before Cocomelon, curious child. After Cocomelon, stimulus junkie.
But what's the end game?
If you break a child's brain early, you don't need to control the adult. They'll beg for the system.
You're saying it's intentional?
They don't want thinkers. They want units. Predictable, manageable, addicted.
Like factory settings?
Exactly. And when the damage shows, Big Pharma sells the solution.
So the pipeline is big tech, Cocomelon, attention crash, big pharma.
Closed loop. Problem, reaction, profit.
Holy crap. I used to watch that with my niece.
You thought it was a lullaby. It was a leash.
Hey, Shalom, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Radash. Double honor to our apostles, who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the innumerable multitude, women, children that follow the truth, as well the elect who's pushing this truth and sincerity. Okay, this is Rob Moff from Nebraska camp. And yeah, man, you see in post-production I have video. It seems it's a little cartoon reenactment of some good information that that's being put out. And as you know, man, I'm pretty big on, education. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying in in a positive. The word educate means to bring out. Okay, but when I'm speaking on this, school boards and things like that, because once you get deep down into it, this was the root to being programmed, being Americanized. All right. And this has changed, via, instead of education, it shifted into, phones, iPhones and iPads and tablets and things like that. So this is what got everything to be realigned. Okay. And what happened was they didn't need to program people anymore, because they were programmed through the phones. It used to be the school. So I want to get a very, simple scripture. All right. In Proverbs 22:6, it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And the thing is that, Esau's created a subtle way that you don't even know. He took away time for you to train your child. He took away time, took away space for it. He took away the opportunity, took away the tactics, all that. Because, and he reprogrammed us to tell you what a tactic is of training your kids, and pretty much, what is training your child, you know what I'm saying? And it takes action. All right. It sounds simple, but to sit there and say to your child, read your Bible, that's not going to cut the mustard. Right. You could tell somebody to do something, but if you're constantly reading, you're constantly praying, they're going to naturally emulate what you're doing. If you're reading with them, if you're praying with them, to where you wake up in the morning, y'all, get down, pray together. This is the way you train them, because, that's the thing, is that we all were taught one way to educate somebody. And there is no one way to educate a person. Some people are hands-on. Some people you can verbalize things to, but we're in a society where you're led to believe that all you had to do is verbalize it. Okay. Hey, even with our apostles, you know what I'm saying? How we learn from them through the Spirit. Okay. There's a Spirit allocated with it, the Holy Spirit, to where we're all, one and one in the Spirit. But our spirit adheres to things, and you can see the way our elders teach, how consistent they teach, how they go into definitions. They don't tell us the bulk of these things. They'll mention it, but they don't say, hey, y'all go into definitions today. When you go in there and read this definition, that definition, no, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a little, at a point, it should be common sense based off of what's common. All right. Like they say, common sense is not all that common, but nowadays it isn't, but that's a different subject. But my point is that they make common when you watch the videos, walk with them. By watching the videos, you take your notes and you see them go into definitions. And what happens is that they're giving you a template of studying, okay, through walking with them. If you watch their lessons and you participate within that lesson, then you would learn study habits, okay? You watch them go on the highways and you that's a digital way of walking with somebody. Instead of somebody calling you and say, hey, get some fringes, borders, and garments and fringes of border or blue and go teach. Nah, if I see you do it, it's an easier way to do it. All right, it's understandable when I see you do it. All right, so I say that to say that they took all that sensory away, because you see how impactful the internet is for us. How much more is it for the kids and how they're receiving information from the ads, the commercials, the type of stimulations and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Within this society. Okay. So I wanted to read a few excerpts real quick from this book, and then we'll continue with some precepts. Because, even me, I've learned how important it is, because I used to just tell my kids what to do, instead of just creating a lifestyle so they can understand what to do, okay? So in one of these statements is, this is page 21, paragraph 4, says, in a new world of forced schooling, the training of the young was simply too important of a matter to be left to pedagogues, just as had been the situation in ancient Rome. Tracing the word pedagogue to its origin in Rome is useful because it leads us to the threshold of the mystery. The Roman pedagogue was only a slave, albeit a specialized kind of slave. He was assigned to the task of driving home a curriculum created by the master who owned him, and making sure the pupil got to school on time. But who was the master and where did he live? Okay, and so pretty much that's your school teachers, that's your your parents now. They've turned into the pedagogues. Okay, instead of them teaching you, they created an environment where you don't have time, to teach. Okay, and it's crazy because Esau creates loopholes, because you can homeschool your kid, but do you know how to do it? Are you equipped? Do you have the time? Are you too money hungry to make sure that you have this and have that? You know what I'm saying? Or the bills are too high. American lifestyle will cause you to have a two garage, 2-car, grass, lawn, and all these amenities has to be upkeep, and then you're put in a place where you want to enjoy the upkeep instead of enjoying upkeeping it. Okay, and that's where we are. Where winter time comes, you always need a new jacket. You always need new shoes every summer. You always need new this, new that. I gotta have my, I am not a good neighbor unless my grass look like this. No, people took pride in their own situation and they created their own situation. They didn't buy their situations. So now you're in a place of buying your situation. So you try to buy parenting, by, private schooling, while you go to cocktails or go to work or, daycare and all that. All these things didn't need to exist, nor did they. It just gave, the more freedom you want, the more stuff you have to cut off. Just like nursing homes and stuff like that. That didn't exist because parents just there was, how can I say, like the concept of when your kid is 18, they move out. When the parents you send them in a nursing home. That wasn't a thing. There were, women that stayed home, raised the kids. The parents were always, say your parent owned 2 acres and then, the parent did their thing, then they raised you up and then you stayed on that acre. You didn't just get up. That's your inheritance. All right. Inheritance was passed down. But in this society, it was shown to, no, you keep starting over to create your own. You keep starting over to create your own. That don't make any sense. Okay. If a game take 10 years to win, you keep starting over, you're never going to win it, especially if you're not consistent. You have to go on overhaul, that's what happened in society, because you want to create a new you instead of, starting off where your parents left off. You want to create your own lane, make your own path. And so you therefore just start clean over. Now you got to learn, if your parents were carpenters, you want to be an engineer. Now you got to learn about being an engineer, and there's time that goes with learning how to be an engineer. You're not improving your engineer skills, okay? Like if your parents are carpenters and you say, okay, now it's time for me, and you start off where your parents left off, you're going to have, like, if they've been carpenting for 15, 20 years, 30 years, you're going to have some 30 years worth of experience. Even if you had to go to school, you're going to be on point already. Okay? Schooling ain't even going to be hard for you. You know what I'm saying? You're just doing details. You know what I'm saying? So this is like the system that they interrupted, and they wanted to be the teachers. They wanted to be the person you had to go to, and they created an idea for you to start from scratch. But I digress. The point is that, you're now that the parents are in this environment, then they have their kids. They don't have time to actually give them what they've learned for 25, 30, 40 years. You're leaving them to figure out everything from scratch. And that to me is asinine. It doesn't make any sense to start your child from scratch, to once your kid hits a certain age, get the hell out of my house and find your own way. Where you can have a kid stay in your house and they're pretty much taking over. Not saying that, like kid turns 18, now they the man and you got to sit your ass back. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, okay, hypothetically, me as a father, I got a son and my son turns 18. Okay, all right, son, I'm a carpenter. My son, in order to practice carpentry in Babylon, he has to go to a trade school. Now, if I've been teaching him since he was 4 years old about everything about carpenting, you know what I'm saying? Then once he goes into the school, passing tests is not going to be hard at all, even though that's a fucking ridiculous thing to do. But it's going to be a whole lot easier than him becoming, a motorist trying to figure out motors and shit. Is going to be difficult. Can he do it? Sure. I'm not saying that, but that's the American way. Oh, I could do everything. I could be an astronaut if I want to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you could. But everybody have their offices. Everybody have their lanes. There's people that take interest in certain things. And in this society, they let you do anything. You ever went into a place and it has too much shit on the wall for you to order and you don't know what to order because there's so much stuff? That's Babylon. It's too much going on. You know what I'm saying? You don't know whether you want to be a business owner or get everybody want to have a business degree. You want to coding. You don't know what you want to do because you could do anything. You know? And it's crazy because they'll get on communists and all that, but it makes sense. Okay? You are what your parents are. The Lord does that. The spirit of the prophets is subject unto the prophets. But let's get back to what I was going over real quick. I'm gonna read this next excerpt, page 22, paragraph 3. It says, school is also an efficient way of ensuring loyalty to certain ideas and attitudes. Its potential, and again, we go into schooling, schooling does still do that, but now it's the phones. Okay, when you go onto these like the Coco Melanie was referencing, Miss Rachel, Yo Gabba Gabba, I got kids, so what I'm saying, and I fell victim to it as well, because it's like, okay, I get to clean up, I get to do this. No, have your kids clean up with you. Learn. They need to have quiet time. They need to. With structure, you don't have to be doing all this. You know what I'm saying? If you have structure, if your kids wake up and pray, you don't have to have quiet time so you can pray. No, you pray. You pray with me. When it's time to eat breakfast, we all eat breakfast together. Okay? When it's time to educate, I'm sitting down and I'm educating you. Not me going to my phone and I need my peace. I need my time. No, once you have a kid, that's your time. That's the thing that this society has lost touch with, is the purpose of life is family. Unfortunately, in this time, not unfortunately, because it's the Lord's will that in this time, prophecy is the main thing. Okay, so we have to, definitely keep the main thing. So instead of, sitting there and giving our first fruits to our kids, we have to give it to the prophecies and give it to the will of the Heavenly Father, which we get up and we got to get into the news. We got to get into this and get into that. You know what I'm saying? Which is a man's job. The women still can get up and be family oriented, but you can't do that because the man would have to make at least 120,000. I think it's like 90, like the lowest is 90 or 60,000 a year to live in a like a 2-bedroom home, right? So based off of women's liberation in the 1950s, where there was a slew of scientific psyops and concepts that was brought forth from Planned Parenthood, contraceptives, trying to think of my mind's all over the place with it, but you had MK Ultra, Project Paperclip. You had women's liberation, when they didn't have to work, once they worked, they were able to tax two-parent household instead of single parent, because only men worked at a point. Okay, all this is by design to create consumers, to create slaves. So now you're too busy because you're so caught up in the money, and you thought you was going to come up, but it turned into a way to live. So, because technically if one person's working, it should take care of the bills. If two people are working, then you can start getting extra things. And that's the thing, is that Babylon got people wrapped up in wanting to have extra, wanting more. And that's a covetous spirit, man. All right, to want too much, want more than what you deserve. Okay, and that's what I was alluding to. People need 18 jackets, 18 pants, closet full of shoes. You only need shoes for what they're needed for. You know what I'm saying? Get you some damn cowboy boots and call it a day. You only need about 2 or 3 denims. Oh, well, I seen you wear that yesterday. I seen you wear that. Like, well, if it's clean, what the fuck is the problem? Okay? You know what I'm saying? I seen you wore that last week. Dame Dash. I never wore the same pair of socks. That's the epitome of American stupidity. Okay? And it's by design. Why you think Dame Dash is put on a public platform? So he could tell everybody that dumbass idea, and you give him money, and then when a rich man speak, if everyone uphold it, so now you're like, this is the way you really supposed to live. You a brokey if you wearing the same 3 pair of jeans for a whole year. The jeans are fine. The jeans is to cover up your nether regions. That's the point. Okay? Where has it become to the point that shoes on your feet is supposed to attract women? Jeans and shirts supposed to attract women. Now you're supposed to take care of yourself, but that's not natural. Okay? And it became this thing. All right? To where you just want more and more and more and more unnecessary amounts. Why do you need a yacht? Why do you need a yacht? A big ass house on water. Why? For what? Okay? Go get you a decent sized boat and make you a sandwich and get on that damn boat and enjoy your time on the water. Go fish and go, why it can't be just this natural occurrence? Why it has to be the largest, most prestigious thing? Why you gotta have 30 pair, you gotta have every pair of Jordans? Why? Barely, and I'm speaking, I was in that place, man. I still got shoes in my closet that I can't even wear because I gotta work too fucking much. I don't go out enough because everything's too expensive. Now I feel like, in order to wear these shoes, I gotta work some extra hours so I can have money to. No, I'm not doing that, man. All right. But how they say the best things in life is free. Okay, your family's free. There's things that you have to pay for. You can get a book, go read. Outside, just going to the park, sitting by some water. That don't cost money, man. Certain things cost money, but everything shouldn't, just to exist, just to go outside shouldn't cost money. I gotta go somewhere. I gotta go and pull up to a coffee shop. I gotta park over here. I gotta, go walk. Okay? Like, Jake been Americanized, man. That's the thing. And that's why, I wanted to go over it, because it's proof that there's so many things that's so much of Babylon that's pumping through our veins that we don't even know. You know what I'm saying? And we feel like your mind is programmed to feel like you're a loser for not being stupid. Okay? Like the scriptures say, the Lord made man upright, but it sought out many inventions. Okay? My people are sottish and silly. They're wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge. I ain't got no money. I ain't got no money. But you got 10 pair of jeans in your house, and you're walking around stores, like retail stores. All this shit don't need to exist. A lot of this stuff is crowding up space. Talking about we run out of space for people. No, these damn skyscrapers, all these retail stores. Why is there a need for a Walmart when there's a farmer's market? It'll make you appreciate food more. When you got a person that's selling, that makes their watermelon, they're down the street, and you can go and snatch it up. And then when watermelon's out of season, it's out of fucking season. Because it's supposed to be out of season. It ain't supposed to be eaten year round. But because Esau wants to be a capitalist, greedy mongrel, he goes to Florida, not Florida, but Hawaii and other places that has a climate that can grow tropical food year round, so you can eat pineapples in the winter. Type energy, man. I was almost tempted to say type shit, man. I don't want to get a lesson put out on me. It says, I'll read it again. School is an efficient way of ensuring loyalty to certain ideas and attitudes. Its potential employees can be pre-screened for possession of these, or at the very least, for a willingness to conform to them. And the school shows that. The school does it by, if you graduate, that shows that you can be conformed, because you conform to that system for, since from what is it, kindergarten to 12th grade, it's proof that you can conform. That's why when you fill out job applications, or what's your level of education? Because they want to see how disciplined you are to our system. It's also, do you know what you're talking about? Because they ain't asking you, do you got a doctor's degree? You know, they got to ask you that in order to sign you up to be a surgeon. You know what I'm saying? What platform you learned on the blah, blah, blah. You know, but to work at McDonald's, you don't need to know. You don't need to know by education. You can show me what to do and I'll get it the first hour. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of jobs out here that are that way. Security doesn't need an education. You know what I'm saying? Half this stuff don't need an education. You just show me how to work the computer. You know what I'm saying? All I need to know is reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's just it. I just know how to read. Hey, what's up, Bill? How you doing, Stan? Type Stan in. All I need to know is add 1 + 1. Okay, those 5 people today that I need to be able to do that. That's it. Okay? I don't need to know about Egypt. I don't need to know about all that to function in a daily life. Because at a point, everybody wasn't educated. That's the thing. Everybody wasn't educated. They make you feel like you have to be educated. Actually, people were more smart before education came. A lot of these kids are dumb nowadays because of Google and because of school. They have no conceptual reality or connectivity to real life. All right? They don't know about hard work. They don't know about consistency. They don't know about trial and error. None of that. Okay? Because they're living this imaginary life. And getting back to the programming, you watch Miss Rachel. Okay, guys. All right, everything's so happy, go lucky. They're teaching your kids to be passive, to allow whatever happens to them to happen. You got to be happy no matter what, and ignore negative emotion. Then your ass turns to a psychopath because you're bottling up natural energies and not releasing them where they're supposed to be released at. Okay? Allowing women just to raise the kids being taught that way. But I digress, man. It says school is also tax absorption mechanism, which can claim to be draining resources from the body politic for the good of the next generation, while actually routing a goodly portion of these revenues to friends of the house. Yeah, because like I always say, you got, milk. For example, we got milk to that's a tax thing. That's a tax write-off. And they'll overprice the milk in order to, because if I sell, and I work at a milk factory, and the amount of milk that we dish out, and I know damn well them kids is not drinking all that milk. They're throwing half that milk away. You know what I'm saying? They overprice the milk. Okay? So if I'm slinging, was like 50 bottles of milk, 50 carts of milk in one crate, right? And I sell you a stack of that. And them crates is like, they'll sell it for like $1.50 per unit. You know what I'm saying? To the school. But the school ain't coming out of pocket and saying, here, and peeling their onion and saying 201, 200. They're not doing that. They get tax write-offs or grants. Okay? That grant pays for that milk. But then if you're the milk really costs 20 cents. I'm talking about after production and everything, right? That's not the actual number, by the way. I'm just giving an example. It costs that much to make and profit. But then you sell it for $1.50 because you're stuck. Okay, since it's a school, we're going to regulate a specific price and you're only able to buy it from these people at this specific price. Now you're getting, $1.30 all profit. You know what I'm saying? All profit. I'm talking about extra profit. Not even all profit, just extra profit. And then you're making it to where you regulate it. They pass a law to each student that's 5 cartons of milk. And then now, this is the school budget that has to be regulated. And if you don't have milk in the school, now you're fined. You know what I'm saying? Because what if a person says, hey, I don't agree with milk? No, you got to have milk in the school, meaning you got to pay for this, meaning we got to get our pockets lined up. You got to have this specific food from this company, and this milk from this company, and all the rich elite are just lining their pockets up through taxpayers' money. Oh, you got to pay your taxes. What about the kids in their schools and stuff like that? This is for education. Look up how much the education, defense, and international is the highest. That's where the bulk of our tax dollars go to. Okay, and infrastructure. Okay, but the top three is military, education, and international affairs. Go look it up. You know? And you follow the money. That's where all the propaganda is going. That's where all the evil is mainly poured into. The military, the education, and international affairs. Okay? You would send aid, take aid, to these other countries to force them, to do what you want them to do. Try to get Ham to do what you want them to do. So you give them aid. And then you give them so much aid that they're reliant on that aid. And then you'll tell them, I'll take it all away if you don't let this LGBT party come over here. They did it to Ham. Ham started making deals with other countries and started rejecting the Babylonian aid. That's how they, that's how they control other countries. Because there's a 3-tier system. You know what I'm saying? And you got third world countries, second world countries, first world countries. And the third world countries are normally used for not production, but for their resources. Panama, Bolivia, Iraq, Africa. Those are the people that are colonized, and those people are specifically going to be oppressed because you can't you can't allow that third world country to become a second world country. Second world country would be a country you probably either annexed or taken over, through Vietnam, Japan, and then you can move your factories over there. Okay, those are second tier countries, are the countries that receive factories and they produce things. And then the first world countries are the consumers. That's the Western Europe, that's Babylon, okay, Canada, and these are people that buy everything and sell everything. Okay? So you can't allow Africa to then become a buyer and a seller, because now you have to make deals with them instead of them begging you to they're begging you to get their resources off because they have nobody to sell it to, because it's capitalism and everybody's selling in bulk. And now you got fucking 250 tanks, 300 war planes, $5 billion battleships, and I got to keep up with you. And the only way I keep up with you is if I create my own factories, if I sell things in bulk. It's this whole capitalistic monopoly scheme of a lifestyle that Babylon has poured. And let's get this precept. In Jeremiah 51:7, it says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. And it became to this capitalistic, I gotta sell this, I gotta sell it. You don't have to sell all this shit. Okay? You don't have to you shouldn't have to. But the society that's been created, rent, electricity, things that you gotta constantly keep paying, now there's an unnecessary need to make money. Okay? You gotta pay for water, because you have water running to your house and you got to pay for it now. Instead of walking to the well, Now you have this need to wake up every day and go and work. This is slavery by design. We're made slaves through depth, right? But getting, all this and they're trying to, and they can't just raise free thinkers. Okay? To raise a free thinker, this person's going to say, hey, why the hell do I have to do that? They don't want people thinking like that. They want people thinking, if you don't get your education, you ain't going to be shit. They want you to think like that. Because if you get the education, then you get programmed, then they could plug you right into a system to keep the system going. Okay? Therefore, they got your kids overstimulated, locked in, brains deep fried, and now when they're gonna have to go to, matter of fact, let's get it. So when we go into the curses, it'll tell you, all right? And this is proof that the Yahweh Shemi Shai exists, and this is proof that we should, that everyone needs to repent, because he's the one that's allowing this to happen, all right? In Deuteronomy 28:48 says, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Okay? And this is what's happening. They oppress the poor righteous man. They don't care for the mother and the widow and the old. They don't reverence the poor. Okay? They sit here and spend millions and billions of dollars on everything but the homeless, man. Okay? They don't have the proper welfare system. All right, the welfare system has a capitalistic mentality to it. Okay? And try to say they're painted as a moral goodness. All right? And so I'm gonna get this last one and then we'll call it good. This last page of and the book is Weapons of Mass Instruction, by the way. I'm sure if brothers been watching my lessons, then you'll know, Salakia for not mentioning it. The book is called Weapons of Mass Instruction, and by John Taylor Gatto. Really good book, man. Really good book. It lets you know, about all the programming that's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of innuendo-ish type of programming. Okay? It says, the young were too valuable a part of economic and social reality, indispensable in fact, but when the young were assigned to consume, not produce, when they were ordered to be passive and not active as a part of generational society, the schools we have were the inevitable result of this transformation. So ultimately, they want to turn you into a consumer. They don't want you to create anything. They don't want you to have to think for yourself. You know what I'm saying? They don't want you. They want you to believe in breakfast. They want you to eat 3 times a day. They want you to have, like, you're not eating right if you don't eat this amount. You're not a good person if you live in a certain way. Like I was watching this video recently, and it had this male lady, I think it was in Chicago, and it was a Jake. Fucking phones. He wants to show, the lady had her kids in the back of the mail truck. In society, people is, oh my God, because they made a rule and they painted a picture of this is evil. But 20 years ago, we used to always be in the back of the pickup truck, bro. You heard me? In the back of that bitch, hitting bumps, all kind of shit, man. No seatbelt, cigarette, all kind of shit, man. And it was normal. This the thing. This is how you know it's programming. Because it was normal at a point in time, and then when they created a rule and made propaganda, now everybody's like, oh, this is so evil. I mean, we was in them cars, bro. We sat in them cars while mama went to Walmart, and you better not get out that car. They'll crack the window and leave. Now they got propaganda, but then it's like, one bad person or one mishap. Hey, kid, hey, look, man, I used to get on my bike and I used to be all over the city, man. You know what I'm saying? I used to be on my, ain't no, don't go where I can't see you. No, we got on our, gone. Just be back before them lights come on. You know what I'm saying? Now you Apple tagging like all of a sudden there's kidnappers. It's always been kidnappers. It's just kids had common sense to reality to know, nigga, I don't know you. It was the dumb kids that walked up to the car, okay. But kids don't have no common sense to reality. So now they don't have common sense to reality. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to clean. They don't know how to help out. Who's going to do it? The government. I got you. Uber Eats. I got you. Restaurant. You know? It was to the point we used to slaughter our own animals. Now you don't know how to do that, so you got to go to Walmart. Jake don't know how to fish or cook. You don't know how to hunt or gather. So you got to go to Walmart. You've been programmed. It seems like it's a reach, but it is what it is. You don't need no money. You can get a stick and a string and put a piece of corn on it, and you'll get you some food. You know, not illegal food, dog, because you're going to end up getting some catfish, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it don't cost money to feed yourself. But Esau, you can't, if the fish is this big, you can't. And it said, I'm gonna give you a ticket if you don't got a fishing license, you know. You gotta. It's capitalism. That's all it is. We gotta go to our enemy for one of all things, man. And that's what's been pushed, and that's what these phones. It may seem like, oh, they're having their fun. I'm able to study or do this or do that. Nah, man. Look here. My kids. The oldest kid watch the younger kids. Okay. That's just it. Don't open that door up. Till I come back home. Open that door for nobody. You know what I'm saying? This is the base. This is ain't ancient Babylon. This is like Babylon about 15, 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the chick, she got her kids in the back of the car. She got to fucking work. Now it's I ain't biased. I'm gonna say it like that. I'm gonna say it. I'm me personally, I'm not biased. I don't blame that woman for having the kids in the back of the car, because she getting it how she live. Nigga, I don't got no babysitter. Babysitters are too expensive. You got to be on Section 8 or something like that. And all this. Look, put them in the back of the car. Don't touch none of that shit up in there. Matter of fact, Mike, you organize everything in the back for me. You know, Tiffany, you make sure that the kids ain't doing this. Make them sandwiches while we back there. And you get and hand out that damn mail. So what's a little jelly on your mail? That's Esau. That's it. That's him. Go down to Brazil and because you like the scenery, and now you're killing all the frogs down there, and these people think that you mess with people that they believe it's a spiritual connection and all that, and you fuck because you tired of the frogs croaking. Get your ass from down there then. You know? Your ass want to go out on the beach and sunbathe. Well, it's too hot. Maybe we should shoot the sun and cool it down a little bit. It's like, God damn. Why you can't just go sit in the shade? Why is it that everything has to be California for you everywhere you go? You know? There's no happiness without sadness, man. Let the flow of life happen, man. Why you gotta have water at the drop of a hat all fucking day? Why you can't get up and go get water? You appreciate it more. Okay? Why the rich people would sit at tables and just order everything on the menu just to taste it. This is not healthy thinking. This is greedy ass, capitalistic, wicked ass thinking, and that's what this world is ran off of. The Industrial Revolution is keep on progressing, and it's getting to the point, and it has no empathy towards humans. It's all based off of enjoying, living your best life. Consumption. It ain't in the consumption of a program way. It goes into Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter. Matter of fact, let's get that. So when we go into, let's see here. It's like Wisdom of Solomon, 2nd chapter, it says, "For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in death of a man there is no remedy, neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave." All right? So they, that's why they're trying to live forever. That's why they're trying to splice themselves and merge themselves with machinery, make themselves data, because they believe that their life is short and tedious, because everybody goes to the ground, physical body goes to the ground, and the spirit returns to the Most High who gave it. All right. Verse 2, it says, "For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath of our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart." All right. So pretty much, I'll jump down a little bit because it's saying the same thing in different ways. Verse 5, it says, "For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again." So they don't want to lose the life that they have. So, or they're threatened by it. All right. So what is their response? "Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointment, and let no flower of the spring pass us by." This is the mentality. And so as the people are, as the king is, so are the subjects. Okay? That's how we know the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Look how the earth is operating. Look how everybody think. Okay? You got these Hamites doing videos on TikTok and shit talking about who got no water in Africa. And they got money from it, and now they're just spamming it and spamming it and spamming. Now they talk about McDonald's and KFC, and then they got a girl turning around. And I'm like, these niggas they're getting Americanized in less than 5 minutes from these fucking phones. Like this is a wicked ass system, man, that creates degeneracy in people that are unnatural to natural life. Okay, these are people that believe using washcloths was primitive. These are people that believe using a washcloth is primitive. Think about that. They think you're poor if you use washcloth. You just don't take soap and just. I'm not making this up. I promise you I'm not. You know what I'm saying? They're the basis of men. Okay? But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, man. Train up a child in the way that they should go. Teach your kids scripture yourself. Sit with them. Walk with them. You know what I'm saying? Walk with yourself. Because a lot of the Salaki, I want to say this too, because what happens is that people are afraid to put their hands on something because everybody normally does it for them. Okay? So they're afraid to be a man that traveleth. Okay? Let's get that real quick. It's one of my favorite precepts, man. One of my favorite precepts. It says, Sirach 34:9. It says, "A man that have traveled, it's like the man that have traveled knoweth many things, and he that have much experience will declare wisdom. He that have no experience know little, but he that have traveled is full of prudence." Okay, when I traveled, I saw many things, and I understand more than I can express. I was oftentimes in danger of death, yet was I delivered because of these things. The spirit of those that fear the Lord shall live, for their hope is in him that saveth them. You know what I'm saying? So, as a kid, bro, I've been in many dangers. I done walked up certain streets and got jumped. You know what I'm saying? Got jumped, had to fight my way out, take off. You know what I'm saying? And I knew to carry certain things with me after a while. Jake knew how to carry big sticks and shit. So when you become an adult, you know how to be more observant when you walk around. Your head ain't down in your phone. Somebody snuff you. You know what I'm saying? Well, I took my concealed carry class, and the dude was like, the most people that get mugged are the people that are susceptible. So and then what do they look for? Small people. And I ain't talking about size wise. I'm talking about people that shrink. Okay. If you're a man, you should know what shrinking is and how to project yourself as a man. You have your eye, you pick your head up, you're looking around, you're being circumspect. The people that's sitting on their phones, not paying attention, have small demeanors. You know, your chest is in, you're shriveled up. You know, those are people that look like you can take something from. You know what I'm saying? I learned to walk around with a big stick. You know what I'm saying? There's more than one person, get a stick and get something big and hit them with. You know what I'm saying? Like, but a lot of these people, especially nowadays, they don't walk around and deal with these things. They only see it on the internet. You know? So they don't know the cause and effect, the consequences of their actions. Because everything's on the internet. You think you can just respawn. You know? And everything is normal again. Nah, bro. You create ripples in the pond that become concrete. You know? And that's a moment in history that describes you. You know, so you have to be careful. But that's a different subject for a different time. With that being said, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Bachakadash, double honor to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. Shalom.